So our next speaker to represent Oakland and the global theme of ethics is Aniyia Williams. So Aniyia has 10 years of training in classical music and opera. And she founded Tinsel because there was a lack of women's tech products in the market. So when she came up with the idea of an audio accessory that doubles up as jewelry, she left her role as head of marketing at Voxer to found Tinsel. Aniyia is super passionate about music and technology, and without further ado, please welcome up our second speaker, Aniyia Williams.
Hi, everybody. My name is Aniyia Williams, and I am a creator. I love to take raw pieces and make something that didn't exist before. So, for example, I love to make music, as he mentioned. I love to cook, I love to sew, and I love to make wigs. So, a little side story, I'm wearing a wig right now that I made. And the way that whole thing started was because I wanted a wig that didn't look like a wig. I love to change my hair all the time, but underneath this thing, it's thick and it's kinky, and it takes a really long time to manage it. So being able to wear a wig allowed me to kind of change it up and kind of keep it simple at the same time. But the issue was that all the wigs that were out there looked kind of wiggy, like I was wearing a wig, and the ones that looked really good were too expensive. So I kind of went and I looked at the wigs that I had that I bought from the store, and I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and I figured out how I could make my wig, and now I have lots of wigs, and I'm wearing a wig right now. So, you know, I used my creating skills to make the wigs that look how I want and do what I want. And the same desire is what brought me to create Tinsel. We are making a necklace that has headphones integrated into it, which I'm wearing right now, and I'll demo for you in a little bit, because I wanted headphones that didn't look like headphones. You know, I consider headphones to be somewhat of what I like to call a modern day essential. It's not, you know, food, shelter, and water, but we always have smartphones and tablets at our fingertips nowadays, and headphones are kind of a natural extension of that. If I don't have headphones on a given day, I feel very much inconvenienced. You use it when you're on your commute, you use it when you're at work, you use it when you're traveling on a plane, and all of these different things. So I knew that I was using them on a daily basis, but it comes with some problems. It's constantly shoved at the bottom of my bag, which is sitting over there, and it's a black hole. So I got tired of digging around for them. I got tired of untangling them. I got tired of losing them and breaking them because it's a really dark abyss in there. I got tired of my husband here taking them and thinking that they're his. So I figured if I was wearing them on my body, then that would solve a lot of problems. And but I didn't, you know, white wires don't match my outfit that I spent so much time curating in the morning. So I figured, you know, someone has had to have made this thing. I started off kind of going and scouring the edges of the interwebs, trying to find this product that obviously existed and couldn't find it anywhere. And eventually I kind of got this idea that, I don't know, maybe I could be the person to make this. And so that's kind of where the concept, I should say, for Tinsel was born. But then it was kind of a, how do I get this concept out of my head, which kind of brings me to thinking about, you know, the raw skills that we have. So I asked this question: what is your superpower? You know, what is your unique skill that helps you accomplish things? So for my husband, Marco here, I think that his superpower is really distilling very complicated concepts into simple, actionable ones, and it's served him very well. It also makes him very difficult to argue with, but, you know, working through that. But for me, I feel like it's connecting the dots, and it makes me a very resourceful person. I think that I'm very good at kind of collecting pieces of information all the time, and I can draw on them and I can link them together to accomplish the task at hand. And it means that I'm a quick learner, and, you know, and I make shit happen. So with tinsel, I started from one little piece, a germ of what I did know, and just kind of grew it from there. So, kind of back to how do I get this idea out of my head? I had the concept, but I didn't know what it would look like. So my first move was to email all the designers that I knew. And the two that I knew like very closely and very trusted their opinion, they were graphic designers. At the time, I didn't know that there was a big difference between someone who would, design a website and design an actual physical thing. But the first thing they told me is you need an industrial designer. And I'm like, okay, I should find out what that is. And I did. And then I started asking everybody I knew if they knew any industrial designers, right? And so, that got to me asking the CEO of the company I was working at before, Tom Cadis. I was working at a company called Voxer. They make a walkie-talkie app for smartphones. It basically is audio messaging. So anyway, I was working there, and I went to Tom, and I asked him, I was like, do you know any industrial designers? And he mentioned that, yeah, actually I do have a friend. He does industrial design. It's housewares though, but he designed the Rabbit, the wine opener. He has the patent for that, so he might be able to help you. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. So I'll talk to him. Okay. And so he connected me with his friend, and Ed Kilduff, who I ended up talking to, and kind of laid it all out for me in terms of, this is what goes into making a product, like a physical thing that you buy in a store. And it's a long, hard slog. Like, first of all, do you have the stomach for this? And also, if you do, here are the things that you're going to need. And the first of those things being money. You need money. So go back to Tom and ask him for some money to see if you could get this thing started, because he thinks your idea is pretty cool. So that's a good place to start. So I did, and I was able to get Tom to kick in some money, and essentially was able to quit my job and start doing tinsel full time. And from there, it was really all about, making connections with people, with the ideas, and with the plans. Because initially, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like, as Savio said, my background is in music as a singer. I did nonprofit fundraising. I've done marketing, but I have not made a physical thing. I have not manufactured a thing until now. And so I made a point to start with figuring out the things that I didn't know, because you never know what you don't know, but I wanted to try to know what I didn't know, and allowed myself to just kind of go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole to try to absorb as much as I could about manufacturing, about electronics, about headphones, about who is involved in the making of these things and how does this whole thing work. And so after a few months of kind of nonstop meetings, introductions, and reading anything on the internet that was remotely related to what I was working on, I had assembled a team with a co-founder that I trusted, someone who could help me build a brand, an industrial designer, and a product team that's actually based here in Oakland. And within a couple months after assembling that team, we had a beautiful design that was ready for fabrication. We kind of iterated through the process of manufacturing, and where we started was with these hard part designs. It was much thicker in the beginning. The sound quality wasn't as good as it is now, and we made some modifications, and now you can see it's what I'm wearing around my neck now, and that's kind of the new concept, the remix, as we like to call it. That also brings me to one other thing, and kind of to draw on today's theme of ethics, is to really stay true to yourself and stay true to your vision. One thing that I've also kind of experienced through the process realized, I should say, is that with making this product, one of the biggest challenges is balancing the aesthetics with the functionality, like bringing the form and the function together, and also doing that while working with really limited resources as a startup and limited time. And so all of this can kind of be a perfect melting pot for, cutting a corner here or making a change there. And the next thing you know, you've gotten so far away from what you originally intended, and you don't really quite know how you ended up getting there. So you really have to be careful kind of not to let those, what even seem like the smallest decisions, just kind of slip under your radar, and not really lose your inner compass. Try to evaluate everything as carefully as possible, because one small decision can lead to a really big problem. And I'm going to give you a little story there, which is the chains. So the chains that are around this necklace that I'm wearing right here. In the beginning, since the very beginning, I was like, it has to have, hollow metal chains to have the cables run through. And that, in my head, seemed like a very simple thing, except hollow metal chains, they're not really a thing, not a thing like you would think. And so when we were sourcing these, it was really hard to find the right thing. We managed to find a company that could make hollow metal chains, and it was exciting, right? And so we made our first prototype with the hollow metal chains, and we were stoked. And then we actually started to wear it, and then realized that it snagged on knit fabrics. And I wear a lot of knit fabrics. I'm wearing it, if I was wearing this right now, it would be like Velcro on this thing. And it's okay, deal breaker, because clearly nobody's gonna wear that. And so we spent weeks trying to figure out this problem. Going back to the superpower, it was us talking to everyone from jewelry manufacturers to people manufacturers that make brake lines for cars, because they're hollow metal chains, and now we're leaving no stone unturned here. We need to figure this out. And eventually we did actually solve that problem. But really it was, coming up with the new ideas, and that one didn't work, and what's a new idea, and just really trying to draw connections from anything, even in real life, that might be able to solve the problem. And we ended up having to really completely change the way that we fabricate the chains altogether, and I won't bore you with the details of that. But now we're finishing up the modifications for our tooling, and we're finalizing our samples, hoping to start production at the end of March. Now I'm using my superpower for the next phase, which is fundraising for my company, and also getting that production started and making shit happen. So yeah, thank you.